Okay, I think we are live. Hello, welcome back to another Purpose and Pixie Dust podcast. I am super excited for our guest today, Morgan Rockwell. So, Morgan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? How did you start doing what you do? Where are you in the world? Because I know I am in Ohio in the US, and we were just talking. You are definitely not. So, tell us all the things.
Yeah, I was born in the US. I'm from Washington State. I lived in Arizona and went to school in Oregon. I have a background in traditional Chinese medicine. Really different than where I'm at now. I'm over in Porto, Portugal. And so I ended up here 6 years ago, and things did not go according to plan of getting a work visa, practicing acupuncture, and all of those type of things. And I ended up having two boys that were born here. So they have dual nationality and half Portuguese, half American. So here I am. So fast forward through the father and I not working out and life unfolding, we got divorced. And I found out that I was going to be a single mom in a foreign country and needed to figure out what I was going to do because my work visa situation just would never be possible based upon schooling differences. So it was my time to really jump into hold and own my gifts of intuition. And so I came in to be an Akashic Records practitioner and healer.
Oh my gosh, that's like, and it's so funny. I love hearing everyone's journey because everything always works out the way it's supposed to work out, but it's never usually what people think it is. Like, it's never a straight line journey, like you just mentioned. So, oh my gosh, there's so much about that. So how did you decide to pivot to what you are doing right now? Because you said originally you were doing Chinese medicine, then there was acupuncture. Like, at what point were you like, okay, I'm going to start diving into this and then explore doing it as an occupation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I didn't explore it in the terms of looking for an occupation. Going through a separation, going through a divorce, this person that I had had children with in a foreign country, there was so many layers involved. There was a lot to unpack. And I, at one point, just like wanted answers, right? I felt really trapped where I was at. I felt unsupported, really, really sad, and really in a place where I felt like frozen and stuck. And I didn't know where to get answers because I couldn't turn to anyone that I trusted and loved and have that whatever advice they gave me be what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Like, that just wasn't going to be sufficient. So I needed a way to repair the trust within myself, learn to listen to my own intuition. And that's when the records came calling. So I found a mentor, learned how to get into the records, found out I had been accessing the records at different points in my life, but being able to use them as a life tool in the sense that I could open my records, ask the guardians of the records, what is my next step? How do I align myself for whatever I decided to do in the future, And that's where the records really came in to support me in how to get through a divorce, how to get through starting over with like seriously zero in a foreign country, figure out a new life as a single mom, and then what am I going to do to make money? And so it was like breadcrumb after breadcrumb, and that's how the records were able to really shine. And I thought, you know what? I'm not the only person who is stuck in some sort of situation. It might look a little different details wise, but I know I am not alone in this. I know I can support others going through pivotal moments in their own life.
Okay, so for anyone who has no idea what we are talking about right now, what are records? How do we access? Like, let's dive into that and go back to the basics there.
Sure. So the Akashic Records are an energetic realm of infinite possibilities. So every word, deed, thought, and action from the inception of your soul is recorded there. So you can go in, open the records, you can ask the guardians or the masters, teachers, and loved ones, who are the names of the keepers of the records, for love, support, and guidance in any and all areas of your life. If you're struggling with money, if you want to learn how to align yourself to find your soulmate, if you're wanting to unwind a relationship, the guardians can support you in those next steps. And they can support you in the sense of looking at the past, the present, and future possibilities.
So do you access this through meditation? Is there how does this practice look like when you are talking to the guardians and going into your records?
Yeah, so I always ask permission. You can't read someone's records without permission. So when I'm working with a client, for example, get their permission, I'm able to open their records. I've gone through a process to be attuned to do it. It's a very simple process for me to get in because it's like any practice, right? Like you're not going to jump into a yoga class and do a handstand the first day, yet if you're working at it, you're going to get there in the end. So anybody working toward opening the records, they'll be able to access their records.
This is so cool.
Yeah, everyone loves it. And so once in there, then people, if I'm doing a reading, for example, I give the client the floor and they can ask a question and then I will channel what the guardians are saying and give them a lot of information to which they can ask more questions about.
Oh my gosh, so cool. So do you have to be in person with your clients or are you able to do it virtually?
I work with everybody online. I think I've done one reading here locally, but all of my clients for readings or healings are all via Zoom.
Oh my gosh, that's so that's just like mind blowing that you're able to do that like without actually physically being in the room with someone. So did you always kind of know you had, is this like a gift? Like, can anyone do this? Like you said, I know it's part of a practice, but to me, I'm like, I can't even imagine doing that for another person.
Right.
What is that? How did you even know that this was an option?
Yeah, so we all have intuition, and it's about cultivating your relationship with your intuition. And for me, for example, ever since I was a little girl, I would have these premonitions. I would like know the phone was going to ring. It would be my aunt or something like that. And that's what would happen. Yeah. And it's so like mundane things. I never thought it was anything special. And so as I had understood what my intuitive gifts were later, they kind of came about through my acupuncture practice, constantly working in people's energy field with that type of thing. But I still didn't know how it all was going to come together. Separately, I was very aware what the records were. And I felt like you had to be this master or this guru to do it. Right. And right now, what we say, the veil is really thin. So the veil to access energetic realms of information is really thin. So anyone can do it. Cool. Like one tip to start working in your subconscious mind and get that forward is to do some like free writing. You can just start journaling. This morning I had a cup of coffee. It was very sad because it was bitter and cold and I was looking forward to, very mundane things. And the pen's going to take over and keep your conscious mind busy, and things that are going to start coming through, you'll start to be able to channel some things. Now, might not be accessing your records for the first time, but you're going to be able to get past that layer of you feel like you're making it up. It's the thoughts in your mind. Some other information is going to come forward.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Do you happen to know your human design by any chance?
Yes, I'm a manifesting generator. I have a defined throat. There's something going on with the sacral. I'm not that great at human design, but actually one of my clients was like, oh my God, I want to see your chart. That was amazing. Yeah. And so she broke it down for me, and yeah.
I'm just wondering, and I forget what it's called because I'm like into human design, but I don't know all the things, what they're all called either. But there was something that like rated your intuition. I think there were like 7 or 8 gates or something like that the woman that I was talking to. But anyway, long story short, she told me that I am super intuitive as well. She was like, back in the day when like they had the Salem witch trials, she was like, those women were like a 6 or 7, like their gates open. She's like, that's about the level you're at. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Cause I have the same thing where I'm like, the phone will ring or, stuff like that. And it's crazy. And I'm like, how did I know that that's going to happen? Like,
yeah. And that's the thing about intuition. You're onto something because you can't rationalize it. You can't explain it. And so start playing with what we call your clairs. Everyone knows like clairvoyant, right? Like you can see things. Not everyone is visual. Sometimes people are, I'm very claircognizant, like just a knowing will drop in. I can't tell you how I know it. I just know it. And some people are clairsentient is another one that fires off. That's our feeling, right? You can walk into a room and you can just cut the tension with a knife and you want to get out. Or you're like, hey, these are my people. I'm feeling this vibe. That can get really confusing for those of us who are empaths, right? We can pick up a lot of people's energy, a lot of people's emotions and feelings. And until we learn how to clean our energy and keep theirs out, it can be really messy about what we're trying to sort out in terms of intuitive gifts.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Do you have a tip for us to how we could clean out that energy, especially if we are those people who absorb a lot of that?
Yeah. So just one, being aware that you have this energy field and start listening to it. When you walk into a room, what does it feel like? What are you getting? Tell yourself, just saying, I'm cleaning my energy. I'm clean, I'm clean, I'm clear. I love when I wash my hands, I imagine the dirty energy running down the sink. So if you're interacting with somebody who's like a narcissist or maybe just not your favorite person and you feel like odd, just go wash your hands and imagine that energy just cleaning down you. Selenite is my favorite stone. I think I have a million pieces behind me. You can find this stone at any shop. This was like €3 or something, $3. It's very cheap. Will clean your energy field a lot. So just clean around and do that. You can lay it next to your bed, your computer, wherever, and you'll start to notice a difference.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I know. I really got in tune with that probably a couple years ago. And I just remember walking away. I had like dinner, drinks with a friend. And when I got in my car, I was like, it was just a very heavy, like everything about the energy was so heavy. And like the whole rest of the night, I'm like, I really absorbed all that energy. And going into it, you know, I was so excited to see her. I hadn't seen her in such a long time and yada, yada. And that's when I was like, wow, I really absorb other people's energy. So
yeah. And that's a good thing to be aware of. If you feel that coming on, or you know that, like imagine a very beautiful sacred geometry, whatever shape you love, circle, rectangle, Merkaba, and take a minute, take a deep breath, imagine that shape in front of you and put the whole situation in, put your friend in, put the restaurant in, put the subway in, put wherever you're at that has a lot of it. And then imagine that being separate from you. And it makes a huge difference to allow you to not be that sponge for the ick, but the ick can stay contained.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was like a personal question, but I'm sure there are other people listening who relate to that as well.
It's one of the most common questions I get.
Is it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, good. We're not alone. We're in good company. So how can we use this then in our business? Because the women listening to the show generally have a business or are thinking about starting a business. So how can we use our records, our intuition, whatnot in our business to be more successful business owners?
Absolutely. What I like to say about the Akashic Records is it assists us in folding time. So you can get in, you can have a business reading, you can ask these questions about what are your next steps to align your business, to align you with your soul business. You can look at the energetics of your business. You can look at the intention you've set up towards your business and how aligned that is. You can ask questions about connecting with your soul clients. You can ask questions even down to hey, what price should my next offer be? What price point? What's the name? Things like that to really get those answers. I mean, you could trial and error those type of things, but getting in and getting a reading, you're going to get some very direct answers. And it's always funny to me when the guardians are like talking about YouTube or Instagram. And I'm like, that is a modern day thing, but they know what's happening. So I love it.
Crazy. That's so crazy. So for someone listening to this who is literally like brand new with the records, is that something that they can just jump in and start talking about their business, or is that something that they should work up to?
So if you're brand new to the records, I would definitely advise getting a business reading, getting a soulmate reading, get whatever you're looking for with a practitioner. If you're wanting to learn a little bit more about how to open your records, I would definitely advise finding like a mentor so you understand how the guardians are speaking to you, so you understand what spiritual laws you kind of need to abide by in order to contain and maintain your access to the record and information. So it's it's a privilege with great honor, right? But you have a lot of responsibility. So to make sure that you're kind of knowing all of those boundaries around you is really important. But that is to say, you can set the intention to have the next step for your business, have your guardians show you the next step for your business in a way that you can see, in a way that you can understand, and in a way that you have the courage to take the action. And those signs will start appearing into your real world.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
So is this something that we should be doing daily? Is this a weekly? Like
Mhm.
what ideally would a practice look like? Or does it
Yeah,
vary?
the more you are intentionally trying to connect with your records, the more you're going to get. So
Mm,
again, do you have 5 minutes to meditate? Do you have 10 minutes to, clear your mind, write some intentions, set some questions you want out there? And meditation is the time when we receive. And so you don't necessarily have to be sitting in silence. You can go for a walk, you can be visualizing, you can be in the shower where you're just kind of in that zone of your mind is not really paying attention to anything, and that's when a lot of those answers can come in. So be mindful about the questions you're setting out and mindful of the space you leave for them to come in.
okay, that makes total sense. So the second part you have that you're a records practitioner and healer. Can we
Mhm.
talk a little bit about the healing piece?
Absolutely. So we all have trauma, whether it be from our ancestors, whether it be part of our soul lessons. We all have patterns. We have habits that might not be serving us. For example, women who are wanting to start their business, maybe they have some money patterns they're not aware of. Maybe they have some self-worth or empowerment patterns that kind of have been tripping them up in other areas. So it's really important to have those come to the light, and the records can assist with that. And then we can work to clear that pattern. We can dissolve those timelines. We can assist them in recalibrating their energy signature, so to speak, in order to bring in new energies, new patterns that do assist them in connecting with their soul clients, allowing them to receive money and hold on to it, allowing them to stand in their worth and in their power, through making these decisions of being a solopreneur, entrepreneur, however it wants to look for them.
Oh my gosh, yes. So those two things that you mentioned are the two things that I hear most from the women
Mhm.
in my atmosphere is the money stories or the self-worth, confidence, that sort of thing. And I think probably, well, those are probably the top two for any woman, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's go. Um, so let's talk specifically about the confidence piece or the self-worth piece. What is one piece of advice or maybe a tip that you can give to the woman listening to this is like that's me, like I really struggle with my self-worth or with my confidence? Do you have some place that you would encourage them to get started in working on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always looking back to the past, right? So the records can help. Outside of the record, you can look at this too. You can think back to a time in a situation where you felt really empowered. It might be when you were in sixth grade and won the spelling bee, right? Like it could be in this moment that you might not really expect, but this memory is going to come to the surface.
I love
And
that.
so as you hold on to these, you're going to get more information about what kind of disconnected you, right?
Mhm.
Where did we lose this self-worth and this power along the way? And so you're going to start to see where some patterns have crept in, maybe through some relationships, maybe through some business decisions. Honestly, what I find the most common cause is anytime any one of us had a hit from our intuition and we either did not listen to it, we chose not listen to it, or did not know what to do and went it forward anyway, those are the moments we need to go back and make a little peace with ourselves and tell ourselves, you know what? I see that you did the best that you could. Yes, I understood. I heard my intuition. I didn't know how to say, you know what? It was not in alignment for me. So looking at those moments are huge.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and what you just said about like basically like giving yourself grace for those moments.
Mhm.
I just like it was just like a light bulb moment for me because I have just naturally, I think, and I owe this to my parents, like allowed myself that throughout my life. And I know, and I'm thinking of a few women that I work with specifically that they did not have that support. And
Mhm.
that is, I'm sure, a huge part of that trauma in, starting those thoughts of I'm not worthy enough or, not forgiving yourself for those sorts of things. Um,
What a gift your parents gave you. So many people struggle with that, and it gets tangled up into self-love and receiving love on a deeper level. It gets tangled up with worth and deservability. Money can get tangled in there. Like this starts a big Gordian knot. And so to have that grace
yeah.
and to suspend that judgment, at that moment in time, know that you did the best that you could. And that's enough.
Yeah, it is enough. And I'm very grateful for that. And we take those things for granted, and I never really realized it until I was an adult, till I was a teacher. And I would be talking to students and, just talk to your parents about this, or just did it. And, oh no, I could never do that. Or they said this. And I, just like processing all that in my mind, like, wow, how different everyone's childhood is and how that really affects you as you are developing and becoming the person that you are. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that. Okay, so let's chat super, super quickly. I know you are a single mama, two boys. What are the ages of your boys now?
5.5 and 4. So they're quite little.
Wow. Now, has your oldest started school yet?
Yeah, so they're in school here, both of them. He'll be in like what we call kindergarten next year, but they have a really pretty rigid learning environment for them.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you sometime about the Portuguese education system, because I know it's got to be a lot different than what we do in the US in general. But so you are very busy, you have your hands full. What is one tip that you have for the woman listening to our show on, how to make time for you and your business while also managing being a single mama and all the things that go along with that?
Yeah, delegate as much as possible. And I know that's not easy when you're getting your business up and running, but as much as you can, delegate those things that take you away from your business that aren't really necessary. It has been the biggest lesson to let go. I am not in control of all of the things, right? Like I have to have time for me in order to fill up my cup, in order to be great for my kids, because I know that when I'm not, they're not great, and I can see it. So delegating as much as I can away, just so I can focus working on my clients, creating new things, how I can support them, and then allowing just a couple hours a week, whether they're broken up in 20 or 30-minute pockets for you. It's so important.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with all that. And I preach delegation all the time. And I have always heard from people like, I wish I would have done that sooner.
Because true.
Right? It helps so much. Now, do you find a lot of your clients, I'm assuming through social media, or is it through something else that's they're virtual?
Through social media, I do a lot of podcasts. So I get a lot of people who are listening in, wanting to come and see what the Akashic Records are all about. I host some free master classes. I've got another one coming up soon, which is going to be exciting.
Ooh, okay. All right. So tell us about that. Tell us what your master class is all about, and I'll be sure to link that in the show notes too.
Yeah. So one of my gifts is a soulmate energy connector. And so I can look down, and we have many, many soulmates. So I can look down, say option A versus option B, or what soul wants to come in, and what do you need to do to align to connect with that soul. So I'm going to be doing a masterclass on like a soulmate manifesting accelerator series.
Oh, that sounds fun. It's exciting. Okay. All right. So be sure to link that. What day is that?
I have not set the dates yet. Okay. So stay tuned, but it's probably 2.5 weeks out. Okay. I'm just looking at my summer schedule. And those are always like a 3-day free series. And then there'll be deeper dives after, should anyone want to.
Awesome. Okay, Morgan. And where else can everyone connect with you? And I'll be sure to put all of this in the show notes as well.
Great. So you can find me on Facebook, which is Morgan Rockwell 111. You can find me on my website with all of my offerings and read a lot more about the Akashic Records, which is just my name, morganrockwell.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will be sure to link this. Thank you so much. I found this super informative, and I know that everyone else is as well. And so if you are listening to this live, which, well, some of you are live, some of you are listening to podcasts, but when you're listening to this, screenshot this and make sure that you tag us both over on Facebook, and we would love to continue this conversation. So thanks so much again, Morgan. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.